The New York Rangers have made multiple surprising moves ahead of their next game, and their next game is another must-win game. We're also going to break down some comments from Coach Peter Laviolette as it pertains to these lineup decisions, and of course some other shocking updates from practice that will have Rangers fans fired up. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 68% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the New York Rangers, it's free. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. But let's dive right into it. We have some crazy updates to get to today because the Rangers actually did not have a practice this morning or a morning skate. It was an optional morning skate, which I think is crazy in of itself. We'll get to that in a second. But the first thing I want to cover is the Rangers have unveiled their Centennial celebration logo to celebrate the team's 100th anniversary next year in the 2025-2026 season. So this is the logo that I would imagine would be at center ice next season. This is the logo that they're going to use. It is 100 years of the blue shirts of the New York Rangers. It's going to be the Centennial celebration. It's a nice logo. I like it. There's been a lot online this morning, whether it's on X or Twitter, whatever we're calling it at this point, and other social platforms that, people are saying, why would you unveil this today? Rangers fans we're in no mood to be discussing this or looking at this, but it is a very sharp logo. I like it. The video they released with it was pretty cool too, so go check that out if you haven't yet. So like the logo, just wanted to point that out. But as we move along to some updates from morning skate, or the optional morning skate this morning, one thing that I thought was really interesting this morning is Matt Rempe looks like he's been on the ice for a bit ahead of the New York Rangers optional morning skate at 10:30 in the morning at MSG. He's the only one out there working with skills coach Christina, and I thought that was very interesting because it doesn't look like he's going to be a healthy scratch. I can't imagine he's going to be a healthy scratch against the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight, but there is somebody that is going to be scratched. We'll get to that in a second, but I don't think he's going to be scratched. Usually some guys, when they are going to be scratches, they would do something like this. Not the case. He is out there for optional skate as well, which I thought was interesting. So maybe he's just putting in more work. The fan base has really been getting behind Matt Rempe, especially since his 8-game suspension. He's really put it together and given them really good minutes and usage. This is just a guy I think that's working on his skills more, and I think that the fan base can definitely get behind that. In terms of some other updates ahead of tonight's game, there's been a lot of turmoil right now. What are they going to do with the lineup? They've been kind of in the blender as of late, and last game was just totally unacceptable. So how do they respond tonight? It is Igor Shesterkin going again for the New York Rangers in goal tonight for the Blue Shirts. And one thing I thought was interesting from Peter Baugh as well at practice this morning. I keep saying practice, but it was an optional morning skate. Berard, Zibanejad, Jones, Othman, Borgen, Soucy, Vakanainen, and Trocheck, DeHaan, Carrick, Brodzinski, Parsonen, Quick, all on the ice for optional skate. No Matt Rempe with the group, but he did skate before. So I thought that was very interesting that he was working with the skills coach. Didn't take the optional skate. A lot of other guys are. So I don't know if he's going to be scratched. I wouldn't scratch him. I think he's been very effective. If he does end up being a healthy scratch tonight, I'm really not sure about Peter Laviolette anymore, if that is the case. So we will see what happens closer to game time when the lineups do become available. But I do like the fact that, even though it was an optional skate, you got Berard out there, Zibanejad came to skate, Zach Jones, Othman, all these guys that want to work on their game. You got Borgen in there, right? Like all these names, good on them for showing up to a optional morning skate in the middle of, not only a bit of a losing streak here, but obviously poor play in the last game, right? Show up, show that you care. So love that. And I do think JT Miller cares, for example, but there's a couple other guys that did not show up to this. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And the other thing from Peter Baugh is, in terms of healthy scratches tonight, it could be Vakanainen who's coming out. Obviously, there was no line rushes. There was an optional skate. We won't get the lineups till closer to game time tonight. But Vakanainen stayed out late in the optional morning skate with Calvin DeHaan, which would suggest that he's getting healthy scratch. So who's coming back in for Vakanainen? I would imagine it is Carson Soucy. They probably want a bigger body against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto Maple Leafs have been playing a more physical brand of hockey as of late. So I think it's going to be a pretty crazy game. I think that it's going to be a very physical game. It could get physical. At times, the Toronto Maple Leafs are not physical. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But Vakanainen, I think, is coming out of the lineup for Carson Soucy tonight, who will factor in after having 3 games off after scoring a goal with the Rangers. But the fact of the matter was he just was not that great. And, I was really wondering about what the plan was with some of the new acquisitions, because they just acquired him and a few others at the deadline, and all of them have been healthy scratches for the majority of their time here so far. So looks like Carson Soucy's coming back in. Vakanainen gets rest tonight, so thought that was pretty crazy. And Johnny Brodzinski spoke out on the last game, and he said, everybody in here was a little embarrassed by our performance last game. We've got to right that wrong. And furthermore, in terms of other lineup decisions and, how it plays into this game, this is a must-win game. This is a game where even if you don't win, you got to show that you care and try to drag it to overtime. Or I'm saying these things, but if you want to make the playoffs, if you have any hopes of making the playoffs, you got to win this game. Show up for this one, especially with the performance from last game. And Vince Mercogliano is writing his projected lineup, but I had a hunch we'd see Soucy back in tonight. Wonder if they'll throw him right in with Adam Fox, or maybe even switch things up and go with Miller, Fox, Soucy, Borgen. I am wondering about that as well. Wonder if they go back to Miller, Fox, because that's something that they have not experimented with since Fox came back from injury. So it's going to be interesting to see what Peter Laviolette does with that specifically. And speaking of Peter Laviolette, he did speak out on some of the changes tonight, and he went on to say, you always want to respond. I think that's life in general. If you don't have a good day, you want the next day to be a good day. There's always that thought process that goes into it. I think our guys will understand that and be ready to play. So here's the thing for me with this quote specifically. That all sounds very nice, right? But it's all lip service at some point with most of these guys. I saw it in the comments last video. A lot of people are sick and tired of the post-game comments from some of the players because they keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. That last quote right there, that last line from Peter Laviolette, I think our guys will understand and be ready to play. If they do not, and they do not show up to play tonight, that looks that much worse. So they better show up to play. And we're going to see what happens tonight in a very interesting matchup here, because obviously Toronto Maple Leafs are battling for first in their division, and the New York Rangers outside looking in right now. 2 points would put the Rangers back into a playoff spot in the first or the second wild card spot, and obviously Montreal would be right there still. The New York Islanders all of a sudden coming out of nowhere seem like they're in the playoff mix as well. Columbus Blue Jackets are there, of course. Detroit Red Wings with 70 points as well. The Boston Bruins are still in the mix as well. It is a crazy year in the Eastern Conference. Everything is so tight. So the Rangers need to pick up 2 points here, because the schedule, again, does not get any easier with Vancouver coming up. You got the West Coast as well, some of those teams, Anaheim. So you have to... The LA Kings are playing some good hockey as well. So you have to pick up 2 points here. It is crucial that the Rangers pick up 2 points in this game. So we'll see what happens. Couple lineup changes, couple weird decisions going on, but we'll see what Peter Laviolette has in store for the team. But one thing's for sure, the coach can only do so much. The team has to step up this game, especially after that horrifying performance on Tuesday night. We'll see what they do. So let me know in the comments what you think of some of these changes. Let me know what you think of the Centennial logo. I think it looks really nice. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.